Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank everyone that joined us at the committee at the whole today to testify on CB-71. Your thoughts and comments are greatly appreciated. I just wanted to take a moment to give my overview on this bill to my colleagues and what the intent is and why I'm really so passionate about this bill. Lifelong resident of Prince George's County, raising a son here in this amazing county. I'm committed to enhancing the nutritional landscape for our residents. The health of our county, particularly that of our children, is one of my top priorities. Given the impact of Prince George's County, children are dealing with obesity and are at a higher risk for severe COVID-19 infections and death. A long-standing concern among county residents that I've heard for quite a long time is the inequity in food offerings and food options. Prince George's County hosts a disproportionate large percentage of fast food restaurants where our fast food density value of 0.83 is the highest in 25% of all counties across America. There are a total of 3,141 counties in 50 states. Among all 23 counties in the state of Maryland, our county ranks number 1 in terms of fast food establishments and fast food saturation. According to the Maryland Food System Map Project at Johns Hopkins Center for Livable Future, Prince George's County houses a little over 16% of all fast food chains within the state. In comparison to our neighbors in Montgomery County and are number 5 at a little over 11%. What we know is that the increased exposure to facilities increase consumption. Nationwide, American children eat 19% of their calories at fast food and other restaurants. When they dine out, kids consume more calories, saturated fat, sugary drinks, and fewer fruits, vegetables, and whole grains than when they're at home. This translates into increased risk for developing chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, obesity at alarming rates. Studies have shown that the greater fast food intake over a 1-year period was associated with increasing weight status during that time. More than 1/3 of Maryland children aged 10 to 17 are not at a healthy weight. What we know is that young children with unhealthy weights become older children with unhealthy weights. That leads to chronic diseases for adults, such as observed in our county, where heart disease is disproportionately impacting the district that I represent, which was responsible for nearly 1,500 deaths in Prince George's County in 2018. 1 in every 4 deaths. When we want to raise our children to reach their full health potential, but busy parents with limited options are often faced with the need to eat out on a regular basis with their families. The default option for kids' meals in restaurants are almost always sugary drinks. These meals also include more calories, fat, sugar than meals served at home. Our lives are busy. We're all busy. And more, we are grabbing a meal on the run and eating out. I'll be the first one to say that I've done it. That is why it is so important that restaurants offer healthy food and beverage options, especially for children. Eating out has proven to be less healthy for children than eating at home. This legislation makes the healthy option the easy option. Although leading restaurant chains in state and local jurisdictions have made progress in recent years, more is needed. Nationwide, more than 100 companies participate in the National Restaurant Association Kids Live Well program, where participating in restaurants offer 1 meal combination and 1 side dish that meets the USDA standards. However, the majority of 61% of the top 50 restaurant chains still push sugary beverages for kids, and only 3% of the kids' meals at the top 50 fast food chains in the United States have met the Kids Live Well nutritional standards, according to a study from the Food Advertising to Children and Teen Score. That means most meals made especially for kids are more than 600 calories, with at least 35% of the calories from fat and at least 770 milligrams of sodium. This legislation, if passed, will be the first kind in the nation to include not just the beverage, but also the entire meal in terms of requiring the healthiest options available. This policy will ensure compliance and adherence to the industry standards that should be applied universally across small establishments as well as large chains. I understand the unprecedented and challenging times that we're all in. All of us are in this posture, particularly for small businesses within our communities, within our county, which is why I have implemented a tiered approach to this legislation with the healthy default beverage within the first 2 years, a healthy side within years 2 and 3, and the provision at least one meal that meets the USDA guidelines within 3 and 4. By providing a tiered approach over 5 years with enforcement by the health department to begin in year 5. I am confident that this is sufficient time for the economic recovery and for the necessary infrastructure to ensure compliance. This pandemic has reminded all of us the dire need to commit additional funding to health and human services. And as the health department will play a critical role in this other health related legislation, providing them with the necessary resources to enforce this policy will be paramount. We have included them in the discussion all along the way the last 2 years as we were trying to draft this legislation, and I'll defer to them in their processes in regard to enforcement and the policy with our support. I would like to take a moment to thank the community leaders and the experts who provided much appreciated insight and guidance as the District 9 team drafted this bill. We are grateful to the American Heart Association, to the Center of Science and Public Interest, to Sugar Free Kids, to the Prince George's County Food Equity Council, to the Health Minister James Tate, and others who have provided valuable insights. I would also like to thank Attorney Maddox and the council administration and policy experts within our council administration who assisted us in drafting this legislation. I just want to say to my colleagues that the USDA guideline has been set. For many years, the Restaurant Association has been policing themselves. But the enforcement piece is up to the local jurisdiction to enforce. And we have seen through our health outcomes that right now we need to create the enforcement and accountability piece to make sure that we're all doing our part to improve the health and outcome for our children. And so I yield the floor now to my colleagues. I want to thank them for their patience and time while I explain this bill. And I just want to thank Ms. Terry Bell as well, and the county executive administration as well in communication on what we were trying to achieve in communication. And we thank you for your support. I yield the floor back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for that. So let me do this.